Hi, I'd like to know, how do I start from the very beginning with growing my music on Spotify? What are the first steps?
Oh man, I love this question. It's such a great question because we've all been there. We've all at one point put our first song on Spotify and then wondered what to do. Obviously, step number one, put your music on Spotify. Presumably you have done this. Second step, I would make my artist profile look nice. So you want to sign up for Spotify for Artists. You want to upload a custom banner, add a description for yourself as an artist, and make it look professional. And once you've done this, you're basically ready to start promoting your music. I like Facebook and Instagram ads for this. And the reason why I like Facebook and Instagram ads for this is because you can get significant numbers of listeners and streams and fans fast without having to have followers or fans in other places. So of course, if you had 100,000 followers on Instagram, you could put a couple posts there and some of them would come over to Spotify. But for artists who are starting out, we don't have followers on Spotify, but we don't also have fans on Instagram or any other platform from which we can send them. So with ads, we can target hundreds of thousands, millions of music fans in our genre, and those who like the songs that we promote can come over and check our music out on Spotify. So for that, I use Hypedit's ad automation. So in Hypedit, I just go to the dashboard where it says ad campaigns and I launch a new campaign. And it's really a super simple and fun process, just requires a couple pieces of information about the song, the genre, and other artists you think your music sounds like. And then you are basically ready to go and just see listeners and streams and fans check out your music and then engage with your music, and everything else happens from there. Hope that helps, and best of luck for your music.
Hey, this is Brad, aka Always Friends. How do I get my tracks onto Spotify radio? I got one of them picked up after about 1,000 streams. Is that the key?
Hey Brad, great question. Two things come to mind here. First one is, are you promoting your music in a way that makes it easy for Spotify to understand the perfect listener profile of the fan who likes your music? This is one of the things that I use Facebook Instagram ads for. And I found that if I promote my music with Facebook and Instagram ads, and obviously I use Hypedit's ad automation to launch those, I get picked up by Spotify radio really quickly, usually the second week of the song being out, and then Discover Weekly usually at the end or before 4 weeks of the promotion are over. So that means Spotify really clearly understands from the fans that I'm sending over from Facebook into Instagram into Spotify who likes my music, and then it's able to determine the radio stations and the Discover Weekly playlist where it wants to put my music. The second one is the popularity score. So every track on Spotify has a popularity score, which is partially dependent on how many streams, but also what time period you got those. Popularity scores north of 20 are usually a good indicator that you can expect a fair amount of radio pickup, and you might be on the cusp of being picked up by Discover Weekly, which usually happens with a popularity score of somewhere between 20 and 30. Now, as of right now, I'm using a website called Music Stacks with an X in the end to look up the popularity scores for my music. You just look up your song, it tells you the popularity score right there, and that's another sort of great tool to use for that. All right, hopefully this helps, and best of luck for your release on Spotify Radio.
Hi, this is Savannah Pope. I launched my Hypedit ads 2 days ago for my Spotify, and I'm wondering how to optimize in a few weeks.
Hey Savannah, congrats on launching your campaigns and all the best for that release that you're promoting. I don't change my campaigns after I launch them. I launch them and that's it. They are self-optimizing. So there isn't anything that you have to do manually. The one exception being, of course, navigating your budget, right? So if you launch with a budget of, let's say, $5 a day and your campaign does really well and you want to have it accelerate a little bit further, you can increase the budget. Or if you launch at a certain budget and you want to continue campaign in the long term at a smaller budget, you can change that. But other than changing the budget, I don't touch these campaigns once they're set up because they are self-optimizing. That's why the whole pixel and conversion API setup is happening in the background. So there's a whole lot of tracking happening where information is flowing back and forth between Facebook and Instagram, and Hypedit learning which fans engage with the music and click through into Spotify, and then it's all automatically finding more people with similar music preferences. So there is actually a bunch of stuff happening behind the scenes, but all for the purpose of saving us artists time and energy so that we don't have to do it and we can put more time back into engaging with our fan base or writing more music and doing things like that. So hopefully that helps. It's a relatively passive process, and yeah, best of luck for your release.
Hey, John. I'm producer Genesis7, and I've had some success so far with your program, and I've done a decent job of putting together simple short videos and setting up ads. One of the things I wanted to understand is how you go about deciding the dollar value. So what I've done is started out at a larger value, around $10. And then once I get out of learning mode, then I tend to start dropping it just a little bit. So I'm not spending so much money, but it's allowed me to get a lot of push right at the very beginning. But I wanted to understand if there's a better strategy. Should I actually be spending less and then going higher? Should I be spending a medium amount, based on my budget? I can't spend or do not choose to spend $100, every day, but 10 starting off, and then I usually get it down to 2 or 3. So I just wanted to get your take on that. Thanks.
Hey, buddy, great question. So I usually go in the other direction. I start a campaign low. I start all my campaigns at $5 a day. And then once the campaign optimizes and reaches its optimal engagement rate and the cost per click is coming down, this is when I will increase the budget if the campaign outperforms some of my other campaigns that I, might still be running from a prior release. Because I always want to make sure I put my money onto the campaign that delivers the best possible results. But I want to underspend in the beginning while the campaign is learning, and then I'm happy to increase spend when I know, okay, now the campaign is optimized and it's going to deliver maximum listeners, streams, and fans for the dollars that I'm spending. That's not the only way to do it. I know artists who go exactly the opposite way. They start with a high budget and then they're looking for fast optimization. But personally, I'm following the start low and then only increase the winners kind of approach. Hope that helps.
What's the number one thing to do to really rev up your Facebook ads campaign? This is for Laura Letterer. This is Mark, her manager. Thank you.
Hey, Mark, great question. So there are 3 key factors when it comes to the success of a campaign. The first one is the song. Better songs, better performance. The second one is the audience. Am I putting the song in front of the right audience? So in your campaign, this is represented by the sound-alike artist and the interest targeting that was generated from that. So did I really pick the best sound-alike artist, or are there others? A lot of artists in our community, they launch multiple campaigns, testing different sound-alike artists, and then they see which of these campaigns performs best. They kill the underperformers, and they focus the budget on the best performing ones. So this is if you really want to test even more than 5 sound-alike artists. And then the last one is data. And data means, has the pixel, the integration between Facebook and Hyped It and then Spotify, has had enough time to collect information about which ones were the most engaged fans that came over to Spotify, so that Facebook and Instagram can automatically go out and find more fans with similar music preferences or listening habits. And so that is simply determined by how long these campaigns run. I've had campaigns that were duds after the first week. They didn't perform great after the second week, but 4 weeks in, they were absolute rock stars and ultimately ended up delivering hundreds of thousands of streams to my music. So longevity really pays off here. And that's it. The music, the audience, and the time and budget the campaign had to optimize, those play key roles. And those are really the ones you can play with in order to make sure you get the most out of your campaigns. Hopefully this helps.
Hey, John. I'm wondering if it's worth it to do pre-saves on Spotify. Love to hear your thoughts. Thank you.
Hey, buddy, great question. So I like pre-saves for the benefit of growing my fan email list. I don't necessarily love pre-saves for the anticipation of getting more listeners and streams. When a fan pre-saves your song, that song goes into their saved songs library. And if over time they come back to their saved songs folder in their library and they stream music from that folder, you can pick up more streams and more listeners. So there's a long-term benefit of getting pre-saves or saves, because over time, obviously, they're the same thing. But it's not that pre-save help you get a better release day or a quicker boost onto an algorithmic playlist. At least that's not something I've seen in my experience. But where it can make a short-term difference is if you capture email addresses that you can then use to promote new music, merchandise, shows, and things of that nature. So if that's one of your goals, grow your email list and get that going, pre-save's a great idea. If that's not a priority, I'd probably save the budget and just start my promotion campaign on release day and utilize the budget then in order to get more listener streams and more fans for the song after the release. All right, hope that helps. Thank you.
Do you customize your own personal campaigns in any way, creatives or otherwise?
This is such a great question. I absolutely love it. And the answer is that no, I don't customize these campaigns. I just let them run. I run the campaigns with the default video that Hyped It creates, with the default copy that Hyped It creates, the default country list, the targeting, everything I keep. And the reason why is that whenever I run an experiment, right, from time to time, I run an experiment where I tried to beat my own campaign. Like I set up the Hyped It campaign. I'm saying, what if I run a campaign with these settings or maybe a different video effect or something? Can I beat that result? Most of the time I come back and I find, oh man, the default campaign that is running through Hyped It is actually the winner. It sends me the most engaged fans into Spotify, and I'm seeing the biggest rise in terms of listeners, streams, and fans. Now, the default campaign is also not static, right? So because I'm running experiments, our team runs experiments here, we analyze data. So the things that go into these default campaigns, they might obviously change over time, because my goal always is to have that default campaign be the most powerful and the most successful available. So just because, it's set up a certain way right now doesn't mean it's going to be set up the exact same way in a year from now. So, expect what the default is to change over time as we find other ways sort of to optimize and get better results for these campaigns. But on a daily basis, and I actually just released a new song last week, Thursday. I just launched a campaign and I didn't change anything, and I let it run, and it's already getting some algorithmic distribution beyond release radar. So look, this stuff just works and I love it for that. All right, so great question, appreciate it, and see you inside the community. Cheers.
And I want to increase followers. What's the best way to do that using your platform? Because I really want some more followers.
Hey, Terry, thanks so much for your question. The beginning of the question was cut off, so I didn't really hear whether you're trying to get more followers on an artist profile on Spotify or maybe on a playlist. But I'll just answer both. The great thing with Spotify is that oftentimes listeners are very engaged and they follow the actions that are right in front of them. And that means if you're trying to grow followers on an artist profile, just make sure all your advertisement traffic or your promotion traffic goes directly to the artist profile, not the song, not the release, the artist profile. If you're trying to grow followers on a playlist, make sure all your promotion traffic hits that playlist. And if there's a specific song you want to promote, I usually put that on top of the playlist. So I kill two birds with one stone, grow the playlist, grow the song. Now, if you are using Hyped It and you have access to Hyped It's ad automation, those are pre-built templates. So there's literally a template, grow my Spotify profile. This one will send all the ad traffic directly to your Spotify profile, and you will see a disproportionately fast growth in followers. And if you want to grow followers on a playlist, which is something I love because followers on a playlist give you a lot of value for future releases because you can add all of those to that playlist, then you can use the Grow My Spotify playlist template inside Hyped It. So hopefully this helps. 2 ways to grow followers, and best of luck for your music. Want to get your music heard on Spotify with AI? I just launched a brand new video training program called the Spotify Growth Switch, where I show you how to start growing real listeners, real fans, and real streams on Spotify in less than 10 minutes using software and AI. I've used the Spotify Growth Switch system to now grow my music to over 7 million streams and tens of thousands of monthly listeners on Spotify. This works for any music genre. It gets you real fans and listeners super fast, and it's extremely easy to set up, literally just like flipping a spotlight switch for your music. Despite using AI, you don't need to know nothing about tech stuff in order to be successful with this. I've had the tremendous privilege of helping multiple tens of thousands of music artists grow their music on Spotify, many of which have grown to much larger numbers, lots more listeners, lots more streams than I have using the systems that I've taught. Makes me so proud of their success. And so if you want to get more real listeners, real fans, and real streams for your music fast using state-of-the-art software and AI, then click the link below this video and check out the Spotify Growth Switch. I can't wait to help you grow your music on Spotify, and I look forward to seeing you on the inside.